The number one cause of inflammation in your body is so important to identify. And the fact is that when we look at inflammation, most of us are suffering from the exact same thing. It's not that complicated. And if you let this inflammation become chronic and unchecked in your body, it will lead to disease. And in fact, this inflammation could be destroying your body as we speak. So that's why we're going to identify the root cause of the inflammation so you can start making changes today. But before we get started, I'm Dr. Nick Zyrowski, and if you love taking care of your health and doing it naturally, you want to join my health club. In Health Club, we talk about functional nutrition, we talk about how to raise healthy children, we talk about how to create a good, natural, healthy home free of toxins. We talk about how to eat healthy and so much more. The best part about this health club is that it's censorship-free and it's an amazing, uplifting community of like-minded individuals. Go ahead and click on the link in the description below and join Health Club today. So let's go ahead and dive right into this. And what we want to first talk about is acute versus chronic inflammation. It's very important to understand this point. If you have acute inflammation, that might be like you hurt your joint and it became inflamed. We're not talking about that. We are talking about chronic inflammation. This is an inflammation that is basically in your body, tormenting you every day and leading to serious health consequences. This chronic inflammation can lead to a lot of different health conditions such as cancer. It can lead to heart disease. It can lead to stroke. It can lead to diabetes. It can lead to autoimmune disease. It can lead to a lot of big problems, as you see, many of the same problems that most people are facing today. So we want to make sure that we take this seriously. Now, one of the first signs that you'll typically have if you have chronic inflammation in your body is pain and discomfort, okay? Now, this is important to know. If you start to ache all over, if your joints are stiff, if your muscles have a lot of tension in it, there's a good chance that you're dealing with some inflammation problems that you want to address, because it starts off as that and then it leads to something much worse, as in one of the different health conditions that we just mentioned. Now, let's talk about what leads to the common thing that leads to this inflammation in your body. The number one factor, and that's going to be the food that you're eating, okay? Now, when we think of inflammation in general, it can come from a lot of different places. But the number one cause that I see time and time again in the individuals that I work with clinically is it has to do with the food, okay? So let's check a few things off and let's figure out where the main issue is. First of all, sugar. Sugar is a big factor. If you're consuming a lot of sugar and you're suffering from inflammation, you need to go sugar-free. This is very important to you because this sugar is going to continually cause more inflammation in your body. Now, you have to realize sugar is in everything and you're probably consuming way more sugar than you think. And when I say sugar, let me be very specific. I'm not talking about eating fruit. I'm talking about the added sugar that's getting put in all your food. When you drink that, let's say, energy drink that has 40 grams of sugar in it, when you have that tea that has 20 grams of sugar in it, when you have a can of tomatoes that you bought from the store and you think it's just a vegetable in that can and you look and it has 10 grams of sugar in it, right? There's sugar in so many things that you're unaware of, so start reading labels and go totally sugar-free, with of course the exception that you can actually have fruit. Now, next is grains, okay? Grains is a big problem today. So many individuals are suffering from a sensitivity to grains, specifically wheat, and that is gluten, okay? Now, you might say to yourself, you know what, I'm not gluten sensitive. I do not have celiac disease. Well, hold on a minute. Those are two different things. Celiac disease means that, like, when you eat gluten, you're gonna have major problems, right? And you're gonna notice right away. Maybe you have bad gut issues for multiple days in a row. Maybe you have inflammatory issues and your throat starts closing up. But however, when you have gluten sensitivity, it is much different. It's much more subtle, but also it's just as devastating. And it's estimated that almost 90% of people have a gluten sensitivity. I can tell you full well that I definitely have a gluten sensitivity. And it's not that I, eat some bread and I'm just, my day's ruined. It's literally, I can notice the bloating, the indigestion that comes from it, the swelling, the inflammation, right? I can feel it in my body. So therefore, I avoid grains and specifically gluten as much as possible. So grains is a big one. That's another one you really want to think about. Now, the next one on our list is dairy. If you consume dairy and you're not really sure whether you're sensitive to it, a good way to check is have a glass of milk on an empty stomach and see how it feels, right? If you get a ton of bloating and gas and discomfort and irritation, then you are someone who is sensitive to dairy. Now, what do you do about this? You need to start pulling out all the different creams, the milks, the cheeses, all of these different things out of your diet, because these are these subtle food sensitivities that can drive a lot of inflammation, that can lead to autoimmune conditions and so much more over time. And I'm just mentioning the top ones, okay? And of course, this goes beyond this, but these are the top ones to watch out for. And then ultra processed foods, okay? This is another big one. It's estimated that the average person's diet is 48% ultra processed foods. So when you go to that fast food restaurant and you get this, this meal that smells so delicious but has 300 ingredients in it, that is ultra processed. When you go to the store and you buy packaged food and there's 50 ingredients in a particular item that you don't even understand, that's ultra processed. So we want to make sure we're staying away from these ultra processed foods and sticking to the whole foods. So the first step is actually going and taking these foods out of your diet. It's very important. If you're not sure which one it is, go off each one of them for a week at a time and see how you feel. I can tell you, for me, it's like once I started pulling these things out, I started to feel so much better. Not only did I have less joint pain and aches, but my mental clarity was better and so much more. So try that yourself, and if you really want to take, lowering inflammation in your body to another level where you're using some supplementation, I'll put a link in the description below to just a good anti-inflammatory formula, which is really good for anybody who's suffering from aches and pains and discomfort and inflammation in your body. And the best part is you're lowering that inflammation naturally, which I highly, highly recommend. Most people are turning to pharmaceuticals. Most people are turning to harsh chemicals that are very difficult for your kidney and your liver to process, and that can lead to long-term consequences. So we try to stick to the natural approach to lowering inflammation, first identifying the root cause of it in your diet, and then also using some herbal formulas in order to accomplish that as well. So I'll put a link to that in the description below, along with a link to my health club where you can get all kinds of exclusive natural health content that you won't find anywhere else. I'm Dr. Zyrowski. If you enjoyed this video, I'll see you in this one next.